The first time I crossed paths with Evelyn Harper, I knew she was trouble. The HOA president of Crest Vyew Meadows, a woman in her mid-50s with a razor-sharp brunette bob and a smile that never reached her eyes, had a reputation for ruling our quiet suburban neighborhood like a dictator. Her clipboard was her scepter, her bylaws her gospel. Most neighbors either tiptoed around her or avoided her entirely, but I, unwittingly, became her latest fixation. It all began 3 months ago when I decided to rip out my thirsty front lawn and plant a VY brand patch of native wildflowers. I'd followed every rule to the letter, securing approval from the architectural committee, double-checking guidelines, even presenting my plan at a board meeting. The flowers bloomed beautifully, attracting bees and compliments from passers-by. But to Evelyn, they were a personal affront. "Those weeds are dragging down property values," she snapped, standing on my doorstep, her voice laced with venom as she clutched her clipboard like a shield. I showed her the approval documents, neatly printed and stamped, but her eyes only narrowed, scanning for any loophole. "We'll see about this," she said, her lips curling into a tight, menacing smile before she stormed off. That was the moment I realized I'd landed on her radar. What followed was a relentless campaign of petty harassment. Over the next few weeks, violation notices piled up in my mailbox, each more absurd than the last. My trash can lingered curbside for excessive time, after pickup 45 minutes, to be exact. My garden hose was improperly stowed during a 10-minute break from watering. My front porch doormat, a cheery blue, wasn't on her approved color list. Each time, I fired back with photos proving compliance or citing actual HOA rules, copying the entire board on my emails. The other members started to notice Evelyn's vendetta, their replies growing curt, their skepticism palpable. But instead of backing off, Evelyn doubled down, her silver sedan creeping past my house at odd hours, her silhouette hunched as she scoured my property for any infraction. Neighbors began texting me alerts. "Evelyn's on the prowl. Watch out." It was almost laughable, except for the knot of stress tightening in my chest. The real storm hit when I planned my first vacation in 2 years, a 10-day trip to visit my brother in Oregon. I hired Sarah, a sharp-witted grad student recommended by a friend, to house-sit and care for my aging tabby, Whiskers. Over coffee in my kitchen the day before I left, I warned Sarah about Evelyn, half laughing at first, then deadly serious. "If she shows up, don't engage," I said, stirring my mug. "Just tell her I'm away and to email me." Sarah grinned, pushing her glasses up her nose. "Trust me, I deal with cranky professors daily. I can handle a nosy HOA lady." If only we'd known how far Evelyn would go. 3 days into my trip, I was hiking through Oregon's misty forests, the scent of pine clearing my mind, when my phone buzzed. It was Sarah. Assuming she had a question about Whiskers' meds, I stepped off the trail to answer. "Hey Sarah, everything okay?" I asked, my brother's kids chattering in the distance. Her voice came through, taut with anger. "Not exactly. You won't believe what your HOA president did." My stomach lurched. "What now?" I braced myself. "She let herself into your house," Sarah said, her words trembling with disbelief. "I was reading in the backyard, came inside, and there she was, in your levying room, taking pictures." The world tilted. My blood ran cold, then surged with fury. "She did what? How?" Sarah explained. Evelyn claimed she had a master key as HOA president and the right to inspect for rule violations. Her excuse? A supposed neighbor's complaint about water leaking from my house into their yard. It was a bald-faced lie. First, HOA presidents don't have master keys, that's absurd. Second, my house sits on a slight hill. Water couldn't defy gravity to flood anyone's property. Evelyn had concocted a flimsy pretext to snoop while she thought the house was empty. "Where is she now?" I asked, my voice steady despite the rage clawing at me. Sarah's tone shifted, a hint of triumph breaking through. "That's why I'm calling. I told her she was trespassing and to get out." She refused, spouting nonsense about her authority. So I called the cops. I nearly dropped my phone. You called the police? Damn right, Sarah said, resolute. She broke in. The cops just left. They took her away in handcuffs after she argued and wouldn't cooperate. My brother, catching my expression, jogged over, concern etched on his face. I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost, torn between shock, fury, and a strange admiration for Sarah's guts. I cut my trip short by 2 days, apologizing to my brother as I booked a flight home. I had to face this head on. Back home, Sarah recounted the full story. Evelyn hadn't used the quiche jimmied the side door with a credit card, a trick she later admitted she'd seen in a movie and thought was appropriate for emergencies. The police gave her multiple chances to leave, but Evelyn launched into a tirade, waving her clipboard and citing non-existent bylaws granting her inspection rights. When they tried to escort her out, she shoved past an officer, insisting on leaving through the front door instead of in cuffs. Big mistake. They charged her with breaking and entering, criminal trespassing, and resisting arrest. Sarah showed them my texts, proving no one but her was authorized to enter. Case closed. The next day, Detective Alvarez called with a bombshell. They'd searched Evelyn's phone and found photos of 3 other neighbors' homes, all taken while the owners were away. She'd been sneaking into houses for months, cataloging violations, like unapproved furniture or cluttered garages, alongside creepy notes about residents' personal lives, their books, their decor, their questionable taste. This isn't just an HOA issue, Alvarez said, her voice thick with disgust. It's a pattern of criminal behavior. We're charging her with multiple counts of breaking and entering, trespassing, and invasion of privacy. The DA's taking this very seriously. I decided to attend Evelyn's arraignment, driven by a mix of curiosity and a need for closure. The courtroom was packed, word had spread, and neighbors filled the seats, some nursing their own grudges against Evelyn's reign of terror. When she shuffled in, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame, she was unrecognizable. Her polished bob was limp, her face bare of makeup making her look older, smaller, stripped of her imperious air. She avoided eye contact until she spotted me. For a fleeting moment, our eyes locked. Hers flickered with defiance, then fear. The judge set bail at $50,000, citing her serial offenses and abuse of trust. The charges piled up: 12 counts of breaking and entering, trespassing, 1 count of resisting arrest, and multiple privacy violations. Evelyn's shoulders sagged with each count, her public defender's face growing grimmer. The prosecutor laid bare how Evelyn weaponized her position to bully residents, while violating their sanctity. The room buzzed with murmurs, neighbors exchanging glances, some nodding in vindication. The judge's voice cut through as he addressed Evelyn directly. Ms. Harper, you've grossly misunderstood your authority and your neighbor's rights. An HOA president isn't above the law, nor entitled to invade private homes. He paused, letting the weight settle. You face up to 5 years in prison and fines exceeding $25,000. Evelyn's facade crumbled. A gasp escaped her, echoing in the silence. But I was enforcing the rules, she whimpered, clutching at straws. The bylaws say. The bylaws, the judge snapped, don't trump state law or the Constitution. I suggest you study both before your trial. As deputies led her away, Evelyn's eyes widened, the reality of her downfall sinking in. She looked back, searching the crowd, but found no allies, only the faces of those she terrorized, now free of her shadow. Sitting there, I felt no pity, only a quiet relief. Evelyn's reign was over, her clipboard tyranny dismantled by her own arrogance. Crest VYEW Meadows could breathe again, and I'd never look at my wildflowers the same way. They weren't just plants, they were the spark that brought a tyrant down,